How are we feeling tonight, folks? It's Friday. I know we're feeling good out there. I hope you're feeling good out there. Another edition, De La Spurs Live coming to you. Everybody go ahead and make their way on in here. While you're at it, go ahead and give yourself some round of applause for being here tonight. You could be watching any show right now, live on Friday, but you're here with me, De La Spurs, and I appreciate that very much. Even if you're watching this on the playback, I want to give you a shout out as well. Welcome to the show. Welcome to De La Spurs. I hope you appreciate the experience. If it's not up to par, I get it. I appreciate your time and just watching the video for however long you did. But come on, folks, keep those round of applause going. We got a lot to talk about today. Be previewing the next match as well against Fulham. Another London Derby. London Derby 2 out of 3. Right now we're 0 for 1. Where are we going to be? What are we going to be after this one? Hopefully it'll be 1 for 2, 50%. But hey, we'll get into everything. But all right, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and put my big face on the screen. How's everybody doing tonight? It's De La Spurs, your host for tonight. Going to be coming to you guys live for about 30, 45 minutes. Don't want to keep it too long. I'm trying not to keep it too long. Trying to keep it short, keep it concise, trying not to rant and rave for you guys, but sometimes that happens. We're talking about Tottenham. But either way, coming to you live, 30, 45 minutes this Friday night, February 27, wrapping up the February month, 2 months into 2026. I hope your year is going well. Feels like it's already going by pretty fast. We're 2 months down, getting ready to head into March, getting ready to look into spring. So I hope everybody is closing out the winter season well. Whatever plans you had at the beginning of the year, hopefully they are well on their way, and you will be seeing the fruits of that later on this year. You know what I'm saying? So glad to be coming to you guys live. Listen, we got a lot to talk about today, but first I'm going to ask you guys to do the logistics for me here. Go ahead, throw a like on this live stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on X as well. Get all the content updates you want, you need. See some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about on X. You're bound to see me reply to things, like things, repost things that I'll eventually be talking about here on the show. So if you want to kind of get in on the content or where my headspace is, of course, I'll also tweet as well. Follow me on X. But if you do want the main updates of the show, and that's when I'm going live, which I go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll always say it. But if you need a reminder, go ahead, subscribe to the YouTube for me. Also, go ahead and hit that notification bell as well so you know when I'm posting. You won't just see it come up on your feed randomly. You'll get that notification when I post. Also, as well, share this video with your friends. Feel free to leave a comment below. Whether you're in the live stream or you're watching this on a playback, feel free to leave a comment about what the content is, if you like it or not. You disagree with my opinions, you agree, or if you just want to talk randomly about your day. If you had a good bacon sandwich during the day, you know, you went out on a walk, you got fired from your job, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, just feel free to throw in a comment. I don't bite at all. So yeah. But yeah, feel free to do that for me, folks. Well, to kind of get into everything, I'm just gonna kind of start off at the top. I think the big thing, especially what I've been seeing, is on social media. We have Scott Munn giving us some damning words about the ownership and his experience here at Tottenham. So we're going to be looking at that interview and what he said about the ownership group at Tottenham as well. We're going to be looking at the Champions League draw. So we're going to be previewing the UCL. We have Atletico Madrid, but I'm just going to preview that as well, what that means for us in the future, if this even means anything, should we even go for it? And then last but not least, we will preview Tottenham at Fulham. Another London derby, like I said, this is the 2 out of 3 of them. We're 0 for 2 right now, so we're just gonna see how it goes. We're gonna see how it goes. But yeah, without further ado, we're just gonna go ahead and get right into it. So, first things first, gotta talk about this. So this interview, I'll kind of preface this topic first. So obviously, with our new CEO and Vinay Venkatesan, he's been very popular as of recently for not doing so hot in that position. Well, there was a previous CEO before that. His name was Scott Munn, and he was let go along with Levy at the time of that firing. So, and I believe Scott Munn was a Levy hiring or signing, however you want to put it, but he was hired by Daniel Levy. So when Daniel Levy got fired, he was given the boot as well. He goes and talks to Football 360 Australia and does an interview with them, and he had some pretty damning words about his time at Tottenham. Now, first, before we talk about it, I want to pull up first a little bit about his career. Now, I didn't see a whole lot. I don't really think he has that much that I could find. Now, granted, I'm just pulling up, Wikipedia. I'm not saying I did, hours of research into this guy, but just kind of looking at whatever I could find. And we're going to see this here. Hold on, let me get this pulled up. I had the wrong screen pulled up, but that's okay. Just give me 1 second here. So this is what I wanted to show. Hold on, let me do a different setup. Here we go. So Scott Munn, right? Date of birth, he's Australian. So kind of lends to the reason why he was talking to Football 360 Australia. He's from Australia, right? Scott Munn, right? At the time, we hired him. We had Ange Postecoglou in as well. So have Australian CEO, right? That can help make decisions on director of football, where we want to go. We have that connection with Ange at the time as well. So you kind of think there should be some harmony in the structure of the ownership group. Well, it wasn't. It was not. So you can see here in his managerial career, and I'm going to see if we can make this full screen here. So as you can see here, his time at Tottenham, just his managerial career, doesn't have a lot of jobs or positions, but he's been a CEO pretty much wherever he's been at. So he starts here at Melbourne City in Australia. See here, professional soccer club in Australia. So he's been there for about a decade. 10 years, 2009 to 2019. 2019, he goes to the City Football Group. Now, this City Football Group is exactly who you think is part of the City Football Group that is in with Manchester City. So he has worked for a footballing group that owns City Football. Now, he was part of the China branch. So I don't think he was necessarily dealing with Manchester City a whole lot, but yes, he was part of that group. So, and you'll see in the interview, he mentions that there was times where he saw and had insight to how Manchester City was running, not necessarily saying he was working under Manchester City, but he was working a part of that group with Manchester City. Kind of that weird gray conglomerate, whole bunch of corporate talk, right? And then as you can see, lastly, his most recent job from 2023 to 2025 was at Tottenham Hotspur as the chief football officer. So, like I said, not a whole lot that I could find. Really couldn't really find a list of his accomplishments and stuff like that. But from what we know, we know that his time here at Tottenham wasn't the best, right? We can say that we did win a trophy technically while he was there, but other than that, the signings that we made, as far as uh, pulling youth in from the academy into the squad, selling players for a decent amount, and investing that money back into the squad. We really didn't see those things. He didn't revolutionize anything. He didn't really bring much of a change. It just felt like it was kind of the same clown show that Tottenham has been. So, interesting enough, he comes out in an interview with, again, this Football 360 Australia. And I'll go ahead and I got a tweet here. I have the article pulled up as well. So we can pull up the article and kind of go through it. But the site that it's on has a whole bunch of ads and stuff. So I wasn't really looking forward to that. Let me get this pulled up. So this just kind of summed up the oh Jesus. Let's get rid of this part here. There we go. So this just kind of summed it up for you. These were some of the highlight quotes of what he said. History shows it has been 17 managers in 20 years. For me, it's about actions along with the results. If you are with the club and you don't win anything, then that's a pretty important measure. I remember in a city football group board meeting, CFG, in Manchester City, had finished second in the Premier League the year before. The chairman, I'm not going to even try to pronounce that name, started the meeting by saying that wasn't acceptable. That was instilled in everything we did in the club. I didn't have the same feeling at Spurs. At that level, the margin for error is so small. That culture mentality can be the difference between 3 points. Oh, I can't see the rest of that. The thing is blocking it. But there we go. 3 points on a Saturday. So pretty damning words, right? Pretty damning words about what he had to say. The culture at Tottenham just not matching what's going on. And then we can see here, I have the actual article pulled up from the website. So you can go up to the top. Scott Munn opens up on Tottenham frustration. Why the club gets so many injuries? He's going through. So it was originally in the article title, it was talking about the injuries. But again, those are just some of the highlights. Has said he was unable to push through all the changes he wanted in the club's medical department to stop the constant injury problems. It goes on to say the Australian spent just 2 years at the club after arriving from the City Group. Well, he oversaw his period at Spurs, and they won the Europa League. So again, like I said, he was there for a successful time, but just for nothing really changed. Didn't really revolutionize anything. Nothing really changed. It was kind of just the same thing going on and on. And yes, we did win something while he was there, but it never really felt like he pushed that, because what did we do after that? Once we won, what did we do? We've regressed since then. So did he really implement anything that changed a whole bunch, or was it just, a whole bunch of malarkey? Was placed on gardening leave. It was not long before Daniel Levy also departed. His role with CEO of an occupation, taking charge day-to-day running of the club. With month gardening leave, now he's hoping to become head football coach of the Kraus Group, which he owns a 90% stake in Serie A club Parma. So he's working with Parma in Syria. Oh, that's pretty cool. He was asked about the club's injuries problems, which he's continued with season with Igor Tudor taking over after Thomas Frank's unsuccessful and brief tenure, to discover just 13 outfielder players available in his first training session, with many of those absent on long-term injuries. He did a review into every department, the academy, medicine, everything. So yes, that happened. This is Munn, by the way. We wanted to come through with a number of changes and take the medical department to a level that equated to a big club in England. Unfortunately, we couldn't make the changes we recommended. Some parts were accepted, other parts weren't. That wasn't an optimal outcome. So, doesn't really go into detail about, again, what he could have done to change, what he had plans for and changing, what specific things. If you did a review, okay, what came of that review? You know what I'm saying? Like what did you find out? What were the shortcomings? Now he makes the comment to say, oh, it's not like a big club in England. It's not equal to that. But then, he doesn't really say much. Like he doesn't really go into detail about what he found, what plans he was implementing, about what he found. Who was involved in that? What was their say? Like, was it a group of people? Did he lead that charge? And like, he just kind of says we did a review, and you know what? It didn't really work out. I couldn't really do what I wanted to do, and it didn't really work out. So maybe you could say at most, if he was going to the boardrooms, going to the Enix and Daniel Levy and saying, "Hey, we need to change this. I want to do this with the medical squad," and they said no, then I mean, maybe you have that. But I mean, I'm pretty sure we've revamped this medical squad at least 2 or 3 times already. So was he a part of that revamping of the medical squad that we've been seeing recently? Was it his ideas? Was it his research and plans that sort of how we saw with Parachichi, right? He'll make the fuss and say we need to make these changes and implement this now. The board doesn't do anything. They look at him, they're stubborn, they're stagnant. And then once this guy leaves, whether it's on his own volition or not, they go into that abandoned office and dust off those plans and say, what did this guy have? What did he say? Let's go and try to do this because we don't really know what we're doing, right? So maybe Scott Munn's plans and what he did in the research, maybe that's what led to the further medical department changes. And I mean, really, we're still seeing long-term injuries and everything. So he's alluding to he didn't get to do what he wanted to do, right? The changes that we've made while he was there, before he was there, and I think even after he was there, the medical department hasn't really changed. So all in all, this is, I don't want to say it's necessarily a nothing burger, but I mean, what can you really get from it? You know what I'm saying? Like it's nothing's really changed. Nothing is has nothing's different. And like I said, he hasn't revolutionized anything since he's left. Nothing has been since he's been. He hasn't made any decisions. He hasn't made any changes that have carried on since he's left Tottenham, and have been a positive for Tottenham. We've gone up. We've progressed since he's left, and he's implemented these things. He hasn't planted the seeds, quote unquote, that I think he feels like he was trying to do, or that he had a plan to do, but he didn't have enough time. I don't know. It feels like it's a nothing burger. It feels like he really didn't have anything else to do. And I think he's seen with Postecoglou coming out and making these comments, with players coming out making these comments, Romero coming out, this kind of all-out criticism of Tottenham and the board and the ownership out in the media. I feel like he just wanted to put his 2 cents in, especially since he worked there. So, I mean, all in all, I don't really think it's really anything. It's kind of a nothing burger to me. He just wanted to kind of get, some attention. I believe a lot sometimes with, kind of conspiracy theory brain, but, with media and all that, if you can get attention into articles and stuff, I think there's some sort of money in there that they can get, on the back end somewhere in one of their businesses. So it might be something like that. He wants his name in the headlines because maybe one of the businesses he owns can generate something from whatever he's trying to do from this, again, nothing burger of an interview or article. So just wanted to review that real quick. Now let's get into this. Hold on. Now we are going to move into. Oh wow! I thought I had a banner for this. Give me one sec. There we go. Let's get into this. The EL draw. Now, I just kind of went on and saw what who we drew and what was the draw for. So we're gonna go ahead and pull up the bracket so everybody can see it. Um, let's see here. Whatever. So, oh wait, hold on. I want a table. You see a table. Here we go. Actually, oh come on! I'm trying to find a table. Give me 1 sec, folks. I'm trying to find one with the table. Let's see if this works. Okay, we're just gonna share this, and hopefully, this is just some from Instagram. Don't whatever. Who cares? We get my face at the bottom of that. Here we go. So as you can see, this is the table, right? This is the screening. I'm not sure if that's better. That's a little bit better. Okay, so here we go. So the round of 16, like it says, Road to Budapest. All right, again, I didn't watch this drawing, but here is the bracket. I wanted to pull up the bracket so we can see who will play who as we go into each round, progressing to each round. So we'll start off on the other side of the bracket, right? This is the silver path, okay? So I know something that people were commenting that these were all teams that all the major teams in here, the big teams, Paris, Chelsea, Liverpool, Real Madrid, Manchester City, and Bayern have all made it to at least a semifinal, if not a final, in the Champions League. I think Atalanta, honestly, as well, and Gallagher. I think they both have Champions Leagues as well. So all these teams have made it to pretty high places in the Champions League. So very competitive. Obviously, I think they did that grouping so that they can generate the TV views. But you can see at the top here we have PSG Paris Saint Germain versus Chelsea Football Club, Blue Scum, right? Not the red scum, but the blue scum across the road. Below this, we have Galatasaray in Turkey. They will take on Liverpool. We have Real Madrid and Manchester City. Man, how many times have we seen these two teams face each other? They just cannot stop facing each other in the Champions League. So they're going to be facing each other again. This game is going to be a firecracker match because I think you have an aging Manchester City. You have a kind of turbulent young Real Madrid team. And it's just, I think both of these teams are kind of sick of each other. Like they're kind of sick of seeing each other in the Champions League. So I think I think it's going to be good in a sense. They're going to be happy to get rid of each other early on, right? You would rather this not be like in the quarterfinal or the semifinal because then it's just going to be a really tense, contentious game. But I think when it's in this quarterfinal, I think it's going to be scrappy. Or round of 16, not the quarterfinal, but the round of 16. I think it's going to be a scrappy affair. So, again, I think it's an interesting matchup there. And then at the bottom here, we have Atalanta versus Bayern Munchen in Munich, Germany. All right, in the blue path. So, this is, I guess you could say, the teams that haven't been as successful in the Champions League, right? I think you can say most recently, most recently, the team that's been to a final on this side of the bracket is Tottenham. So, yeah, I guess we are the big dogs on this side of the bracket. It's if you want to, you know what I'm saying? We the big dog. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But you can see here Newcastle versus Barcelona. They're facing each other again. I think they face each other in the opening group games. So I think that's interesting that they have to play each other again. We have Atletico Madrid, Tottenham versus Atletico Madrid. Going to be a very, very tough game. Diego Simeone, Atletico Madrid. Good team. Got back up now with Ademola Lookman. I think they got another two signings in January or something like that. I think they have like a total of at least two or three. Um, so they regrouped in January. I'm not sure where they are in La Liga, but they're usually up there in the top four. Um, I think the only hope we have is that if they're like necessarily in like a title race in La Liga, which as a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and pull it up. Let's go ahead and pull it up. Let's see. Atletico. Whoops. Atletico Madrid. Oh. Atletico Madrid. All right, so I'm gonna pull up their table here. So they're fourth. Let me zoom in just a little bit for you. So you can see here they're fourth, right? They're fourth right now. They are pretty often as far as the title race. And they're in a pretty secure position as far as top four, but I imagine they wouldn't want to lose to a Villarreal or finish below Villarreal. So I'm pretty sure they're focused on getting back into the top three, and being the top three teams in the league. But they got a 6 point cushion below them. So I mean, if it stays that way, I think when it comes around time for them to play Tottenham, they're going to be ready and focused. So they're in a comfortable position in the league. I mean, granted, I think they would want to be winning the league, right? But they're in a comfortable position in the league. So there you go. As you can see here in this bracket below us, is Bodo Glint versus Sporting Club Portugal. Um, Bodo Glint making honestly just such an impact in the Champions League. They're already like breaking records for their league and their team. As far as being in the Europa League, and when we played them, getting as far as they did, but getting this far again in the Champions League, you got to give them a lot of credit. I think their season's a little bit different, right? So when they were coming into these last knockout games in the playoffs, I think they were coming off a break, which may be helpful for some teams, but I think for a lot of teams that were going into the January, I don't think they had as long as a break. If not, they were still playing games at that time in January. So you have a rested Bodo Glimt team versus teams that are like well into the season, are definitely trying to find that form of when they're going to be playing games back to back to back, and they need to be at their top performance. Caught some teams out. They're able to knock out Inter Milan, which is huge for them. So this is the Cinderella team. I think you're going to get a lot of neutrals going for Bodo Glimt. And to be quite honest, depending how I haven't watched Sporting Portugal play, but depending how SCP plays, right, I think they have a chance to at least make it to the quarterfinal. And then it really depends in the quarterfinal who they play, whether Arsenal or Leverkusen. And as we go and finish it out, we have the scum down the road, Arsenal, right? They're playing Leverkusen. You could say they have a pretty easy grouping. As you can see, those four groups: Leverkusen, SCP, and Bodo Glimt. Pretty easy to get to the semifinal at least. In the semifinal, at that point, if Newcastle knock off Barcelona, or we do the impossible and knock off Atletico Madrid, right, they're going to have a pretty easy semifinal, because then they're just playing a Premier League team. And I think we've already seen before they do pretty well against Premier League teams. So it is what it is. Yeah, and that is the road to Budapest. To be quite honest, if you ask me, I would love to see an El Clasico, right? I think both teams, Barcelona and Madrid, are good enough to get to this tournament, but I think Madrid cannot slip up against Manchester City. And then as well, if they make it to the quarterfinal, you got to play Bayern Munich. or no, I'm sorry, the semifinal. You got to play Bayern. No, you got to play Bayern Munich in the quarterfinal. It's gonna be tough. Gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough. So they got a tough road. Barcelona has an easier road playing Newcastle. They beat Newcastle already in the group games, but this could be a totally new and different Newcastle that's focused, ready to go. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see, man. But as far as our chances, I don't think we have a chance. To be quite honest, I don't really think it's that big of a deal to try to go for this, to be quite honest. If we put up a good performance, and I think we've seen throughout the season the players are willing to get up for the Champions League games. If you ask me, again, conspiracy theory mind, I think these players want to play well in the Champions League games because that's the platform. Everybody's watching. They can make their case that, oh, I'm still a good player. It's this club, it's this Tottenham team that's trash. I'm still good, which granted is somewhat fair analysis of what's actually going on. But right, no player wants to be dragged down in that sense. So they're probably going to want to play up in the Champions League game. So when it comes to next season, regardless if we're in the Premier League or not, they know that in the back of their pocket they have some good performances that would warrant some phone calls to the agent, and they can get the hell up out of here. So players may play up, right? But it's going to be a daunting task depending on who gets the home game first. I don't know that, and I'm not going to pull up the fixtures yet. So I'm not sure who's going to play at home first. I imagine we'll play at home first because I think it's usually the team that, well, no, we place better. We're in the top four. So we may actually play second. I believe it's usually the team that's the higher seed gets the last home game to try to rally. They get that advantage of playing at home for the last game. So we should be able to play at home the last game. So it's going to be a daunting task of going to Atletico Madrid. That's not going to be an easy game. The injuries we have, it's not going to be easy on traveling up there. And I don't really expect us to get a positive result when we do go up there. If we can get a draw and then come back to the Toxic Toilet Bowl Stadium, I think that would be the best situation, best scenario for us. And then it would kind of be up from there. But I don't think we'll be able to do that. Yeah, to be quite honest, I think because I've seen some highlights of Atletico Madrid. Their attack looks very fluid, right? I know a lot of people. I've seen people on social media kind of shit talks Atletico Madrid. I don't believe that for a second. All right, you're not in the top four of La Liga if you're a crap team. All right, you don't. None of Diego Simeone's teams are a crap team when you play them on the day. I don't think. Like, there's just certain things that are exaggerated just because they're not over the top very good, or that there may have been some shaky results in the group play of the Champions League, right? But to be quite honest, I don't think they're any sort of pushover sort of team. We need to be on our P's and Q's. We need to play up to them, and it's going to be a tough tie. It's going to be a tough tie. If we go out in the round of 16, I'm not going to be upset, right? I don't think we've even put together a squad that's even worthy of being in the round of the 16 of the Champions League, but here we are. Here we are, right? So I want the players to play with pride. I want them to play up. I want them to play with chest, right? You are Tottenham Hotspur, right? You still are representing the club, but if you go out on your sword, I'm not going to be too fussed, to be quite honest. I'd rather us focus on the Premier League and us staying in the Premier League. That's like most important to me, right? So tough titties, to be quite honest, as far as I can say, as far as the draw, to be quite honest, tough titties. Now, you of Fulham at Tottenham, and we're going to wrap up this in just a couple of minutes here. So go ahead and pull this up. So Fulham at Tottenham. All right, this is going to be on the 3rd. I think that's Sunday, if I know correctly. Let's go ahead and do this here. All right. So these are predicted lineups according to SofaScore. These are the predicted formations you can see here 4-2-3-1 for Fulham, 3-4-1-2 for us. Um, yeah. So you can see here, if you look off to your left, we are in terrible form. We do not have a win. Fulham had just won their last game, but they have also lost three. So in the last five, they've only gotten two wins. So only 6 points out of their last 15. We have 2 points out of our last 15. So team's not necessarily on that much of a difference as far as getting points, but as you can see off to the side as well, the table position, right? They're in 10th. We're in 16th. They're on 37 points. We're on 29 points. So not too far away, but two teams that are just in different areas right now. As you can see, the predicted lineup as we got here for Tottenham, these are the players that we should hopefully maybe have available. You can see here Kevin Danza, Radu Dragusin, and Mickey Van de Ven. So SofaScore is predicting that we'll play with some common sense and that we'll actually use center backs in a back three and not put a midfielder back there, right? We'll actually play with the center backs we have, play with midfielders we actually have, and kind of go from there. So as you can see in the midfield, out wide, we have Pedro Porro, Jed Spence. In the middle, we have João Palhinha, Conor Gallagher. In the attacking middle, we have Xavi Simons. Up top, we have Dominic Solanke and Randall Koulibaly. So, listen, this predicted lineup looks pretty darn good to me. I don't really think Tudor should really change much from this, right? To be fair, I think for Vicario, like, is Kinski hurt? I'm not sure if Kinski's hurt. I don't think he is. Yeah, Kinski's not hurt. So, if you ask me, I think Kinski should get a start. I think you give Kinski a start, right? You got some center backs coming back. You got midfield. If you go with this squad, right, you're going to have a squad of players in their position. You have another week of them being drilled in Tudor's system. You give them a goalkeeper that, yes, you may not know how his form is because he hasn't been playing, but you give a goalkeeper fresh new look, fresh take, maybe instill some belief in that back line, some belief in the team up top to go and do their thing because they have something different. I feel like maybe some of those players, and I know a lot of fans are really kind of tired of looking at Vicario flapping around, right? I think we're getting a little bit tired of that. So to be quite honest, 10 out of the 11, spot on as far as SofaScore. And hopefully, like I said, Tudor goes with this lineup. This lineup makes the most sense to me. It makes the most sense to me. To be fair, I would also make the comment because I do think it's fair as well. Where is Souza, right? Where is this guy? If anything, I would have Souza start in this game, right? Because other than us playing maybe Wolves and Leeds, we're going to have some pretty big games that I don't think the coach is going to want Souza to play in. So if when are we going to play this guy, to be quite honest? That's my thing. So instead of playing maybe Jed Spence out of position, we put a natural left back in, and then we have Pedro Porro in that natural position, or we move Jed Spence in for Pedro Porro, right? Have Pedro Porro come off the bench, especially since he just came back from injury. You have everybody in a natural position, and the team can kind of move on from there. And then you change Vicario out for Kinski. So those would be the two things for me. But other than that, so let's just say not 10 out of the 11, 9 of the 11. I know. I'm sorry. You're booing me? What? I didn't purposely make a 9/11 joke. Come on, folks. Come. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Oh, boo yourselves. Okay. Anyways, so let's just say I would make 2 changes out of the 11 that's predicted here. I don't think Tudor would follow my suggestions. Hopefully, he's watching, or at least watches the playback at some point before we play Fulham. But that's what I would go with. Um, we're just gonna take a look at the table real quick, and then we'll wrap up. Wait, here we go. So this is the standings of where we are. So this highlights the 2 teams, Fulham in green, we're in blue. So again, just like it shows here, um, the form is not too much different, except they got 2 wins, we got 2 draws. Look at the goal difference. Goal difference is not that much difference either. So just really a matter of perspective of where this team is. They're more of a group. They're more of a team than we are. But as far as what their performances have been and what it looks like on the table, they're 11-4-12. We're 7-8-12. So obviously those 4 draws, we have 4 more draws. They have 4 more wins. And I think you can kind of maybe credit. I don't know who they beat. I don't know who those 4 wins could be credited to, but I think you can make the assumption with a team that's gone through as much turmoil as Tottenham has versus a team at Fulham, which has been pretty much moving. They've pretty much been moving along their course, right? That's the difference. That's not much of a difference between a Tottenham and a Fulham for people who want to sit here and say that Fulham should still be food for us, right? We're still a bigger club than them, so this should be food for us. And to be quite honest, even in this turbulent time, you see what the difference is. It's not that much of a difference. 4 draws, 4 wins. But when you have a team that's cohesive and been together and a team that's constantly going through manager after manager every season, this is the results of it. You have a team in Fulham who really hasn't – look, 38-41, 37-41. Like literally the same – I don't want to say we've been playing the exact same, but like really no difference. But look at the point difference. They're 8 points ahead of us, 4 wins. This should shows you what it is. They have the same amount of losses as us. So you can't necessarily say they've lost less than us. They've lost the exact same amount. So yeah, just kind of some perspective for you. And maybe that will provide some perspective of the game and how it's going to go, right? Because we are going to be a team, again, that's been going through turbulent times. We're in turmoil. And you have a team that's been playing together, playing cohesive, and has been going their course all throughout the season. They've been going through their ups, through their downs. But guess what? Fulham in 10th place is no skin off of any Fulham fans' back. No sweat on their brow. Not going to ruin their day. Everything's just is par for the course as far as they're concerned. So just kind of shows you the levels of where we're at right now. Shows you the levels of where we're at. Surprisingly enough, Everton, you see Everton above Fulham right now in 9th place. They only have 29 goals and 31 goals. They're 10, 7, and 10, right, with the negative goal difference. And they're ahead of Fulham right now. So and they're ahead of us. They have 37 points. Again, 8 points ahead of us. So yeah, it's just levels, man. It's levels. A lot of that mid-table is not divided by a lot either. So you can see there's 2 teams with 37 points, 2 teams with 36 points, 35 and 34. So you're talking about 34 to 38. That was how many places? The screen just reloaded. Sorry about that. You're talking about how many places? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 places that's within 4 points of each other. Right? 6 places that's within 1 win of each other. 1 win and you can jump up 6 places. So it shows you how close it is. But when you're a team in constant turmoil, always changing things like in Tottenham, right? Even in a season where it feels like the mid table is kind of blah, right? And nobody's really establishing yourselves. We can't even cut through the mess of the mid table because that's how much of a mess the squad is. How much of a mess of a team we are. So, yeah, man, not good at all. So let's just go for the predictions here. I said this is a game that we needed to win in the last live stream. If you watched my last live stream, I feel like this is one of the wins. If we're going to get 2 wins and 2 draws out of the 4 games, we can get points. And then the rest of the season, this is one of those games. And this needs to be one of those wins. I don't think we can afford a draw. But in my hearts of hearts, like I just said, if I'm trying to analyze this with a cool brain, yeah, man, I don't think we're in any sort of position to get a whole lot from this game. So I'm going to go with, I think we can get a goal in this game. I think we can get a 2-2. I think we can get a 2-2. I think it'll be a scrappy game, of course. I think there's definitely going to be tons of bozo moments. So Tottenham fans, hang on. This is going to be an ugly draw. This is going to be an ugly game. This is going to be an ugly game because I don't think Fulham is playing, necessarily some beautiful football either. So it's going to be an ugly game. It's going to be an ugly watch. I think there's going to be goals in it, though. It's going to be 2-2. I think it's going to be not necessarily like Arsenal, but it's going to be one of those games where the goals come on late. I think it's going to be very tense and very back and forth at the beginning. Don't be surprised if Fulham come on and start bopping the ball around and just start kind of dominating us and instilling. Don't be surprised if Fulham insert themselves. Wow. Holy shit. Don't be woo. All right. Don't be surprised if Fulham imprint themselves. That's not even better either. That's not better either, man. What the fuck? All right. Don't be surprised if Fulham dominate the first half. All right. Let's just say that. Let's say that. Don't be surprised if Fulham dominate the first half, and don't be surprised if it just looks like we're going to be sitting within a shell. I think the shell is kind of I think that sort of tactic and formation, whatever we do, that's always going to be in the player. That's going to be in the back of the players' minds, I think, for the whole season. It's going to take a whole lot of work for Tudor to get rid of that out of the team in a matter of 2 weeks, right? That's something that maybe towards the end of the season you see the team start reverting away from if they do that, but I don't think so. I think when this team sees that the other team is up for it, they're willing to run through brick walls. They're going to be stomping on your ankles. They're going to be pushing you, shoving you, spitting on you, pulling your jersey, pulling on your hair, whatever it may be, right? I think our players are going to pull into the shell. They're going to revert into the shell. They're just going to say, let's just get to halftime. And so don't be surprised if that happens. Don't be surprised if that happens. But goals late on in the game, 2-2. That's my final prediction. I think a 2-2, maybe a 1-1. But I think we need to get something from this game, and that's what's most important. We need to get something from this game. Again, 4 games we can get points from. This is one of them. So, 2-2, 1-1. If you're a gambling man, definitely say over 2 goals in this game. Maybe even go for over 2.5 goals in this game. As far as any prop bets, I think there's going to be a decent amount of corners in here. So definitely go for over 4 corners for each team. So over 8.5 for the game, right? Yeah, again, I expect the goals late on. I'm not really sure how if it's going to be open play goals or not, but again, I think it's going to be an ugly game. It's going to be an ugly game. But I think there's goals in there, especially. I think Vicario flaps around too much, but I think we can get something out of this Fulham team. I don't think they're doing that well either, so they're there for the taking. And the team's got to be desperate, man. They got to be hungry. They got to be desperate. You saw what that Arsenal team did, right? When they came to us, they were flopping around, falling all over the place, begging for fouls, crying, doing whatever they did, but they dominated us. They got the win. And sometimes that's all it takes. That's all you need to do, man. You just have to be that desperate. And who cares? It's a shame. Be shameless in how desperate you are. Tottenham, be shameless in how desperate you are to get points because guess what? We need it. We have to do that. There's no way of trying to look cool. There's no way of trying to look like a Big Six team that's got it all together and that okay, we did mess up, but we're gonna, get it together for the rest of the season. No, we're desperate. It's okay to be desperate. We need to be desperate. We need to be desperate for the points. But that's where I'm going to end it here, folks. I want to thank everybody for 55 minutes, all right? Any time I'm trying to put myself into. I never listen to myself. So don't listen to me. But yes, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Had so much fun streaming with you guys. Again, if you could, we're going to do some last minute logistics before you log off. If you could, please go ahead, like this live stream, subscribe to the channel, follow me on X, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about the comment, what you think about my opinions, what you agree with, what you disagree with, or if you just want to talk about your day, talk about anything else in the world right now. If it's your escape, you just want to write something, feel free to do it. I don't care. But yeah, feel free to leave a comment. Share this video with anybody who watches Premier League content, Tottenham Hotspur content, or if they're just a soccer fan in general. Listen, folks, appreciate you guys so much for this show. Yeah, it's been a good show. Listen, we'll see you. I'll be back live. I think I may do a little something. May do a little something after this Fulham game to see what happens for the results. So be on the lookout. Subscribe to the channels. You can see when I post. I'll post before I go live and all that stuff. So feel free to do that. Again, thank you guys so much. Hope you guys are having a good rest of your Friday nights, having a good weekend. Get energy refreshed so we can head into the next week. And I'll see you guys on Monday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time for another edition of De La Spurs Live. But until then, peace out.